Exporting a document from InDesign. When you export a document from InDesign, the document that's created is your InDesign file saved in a different file format. So why would you do this? Basically, there are a few reasons. It depends on the application or what the end product is. So we're just translating a document into another format so that it can be used either by another application or you can upload it to the web. An easier file to manage via email when sending to clients or to the printer. So a few of the export options that we have in InDesign. If I go under File and Export. So here's my types. If I do my Save as Type drop down here, we've got a few that are used more commonly. The PDF files, we have two different types of PDFs that we can export. Now PDF stands for Portable Document Format, and it's the file format that's used in Adobe Reader. Most all users have a version of Adobe Reader, which is free. So that means that when I create a PDF, I can share that with basically anyone. The benefits of saving one of these two PDF files is that all of my fonts and my placed graphics are embedded in the PDF. That means that they are along with that file. You're not going to get a missing font or a missing link error. And it's a complete self-contained export of my entire InDesign document. This is probably the most common export file. Now the choices here that we have are for both professional printing, that's the one I have highlighted right now, and the interactive would be more geared for email or something in a more digital end product. So the standard procedure really is to export an InDesign document as a PDF, to email it to the client for approval, or to send it to the printer, and the print PDF produces a what we call high-res PDF. So there's a high-res or high-end versus low-res or low-end. If I go ahead and check on the PDF for print and click Save, it already exists. Let's just go ahead and replace it. That's okay. Here's my export box, and so I have a lot of options here. We've already looked at marks and bleeds where I can choose to incorporate or turn on all of my printer marks and bleeds, use the document bleed setting, include my slug area. But if I look at compression here, what we're seeing is that we're not really compressing it. We have some automatic compressions we can turn to none for my colored images. That means that the pixels per inch is going to stay very, very high. So we want to make sure we keep that compression. Now, you may have to play around with that just for file size if you are trying to get a potential size. Now, we also can export bookmarks and hyperlinks. This is when we get into our interactive lesson in the future. You'll understand what that means. The output, color conversion, there's some things in here, the advanced, and some of these you might not quite understand. Some you may have to talk to your printer about to understand. There are some security options that you can place on the document as well. And then the summary. So if I went ahead and did export, I would get a high quality PDF. If I did the same export but chose low quality, it's still thinking here, and chose the interactive, basically what I'm going to look at, let's do a low here so we don't mess them up. And if I choose Save, you're going to see a little bit different options. This is geared, it's called interactive PDF, so when I do place any kind of page transitions, interactive components, it will keep those. But you see the image handling right here, it defaults to 72, JPEG compression lossy. That means we're really losing some quality in those pictures. You would not want to send an interactive PDF to be printed because your pictures will have a very visible, tremendous loss of quality. So those are the PDFs. We have a few other exports here as well that are used more commonly. Of course, we have our whole e-publishing area that we have yet to talk about. We have EPS, that stands for Encapsulated Postscript File. This is where we could then share this within Illustrator or Photoshop. An EPS has vector components, so it really is a graphic file that then can be placed into Photoshop or Illustrator. My JPEG, same thing. JPEG is a compressed graphic file format, so this is a much smaller size. It would be as though we're taking our InDesign document and turning it into a picture, ideally to be placed on the web or in a digital format, low quality. We also have HTML, we have SWF, which is a Flash player file. That SWF, there's a couple of different definitions of what that actually stands for. Shockwave Flash, small web file. I've seen it both ways. It's more for an interactive InDesign document that supports those hyperlinks and animation. When you do this export, you have to be cautious because we know a lot of our mobile devices do not support a SWF file. So you have to make sure that you do some things. You can generate the HTML file. You want to absolutely make sure that you have that checked when you do this option, so that it uses the HTML file to display the SWF presentation in a browser window. So be cautious with the SWF. You can run into some issues, like I said, on any kind of mobile platform with a SWF file. So those are the exports. So we do have ways. Now remember, you have to go to File and Export. You cannot do File and Save because File and Save gives you a very limited opportunity here. Some other programs such as Photoshop has more options in the Save As. InDesign sticks with just its InDesign related files. You have to do a File and Export to get these options. So that's how we can share our InDesign document in a variety of ways.